My name's Robert Lovelace, and I'm the professor for this course, um, Indigenous Theory. Um, I'm glad you've taken this course because, frankly, it's a really different course. There's only one like it. This is it at Queen's University. And across the globe, there are few courses. In fact, there's no academic sort of stream anywhere in the world that's called Indigenous Theory. But it's essential because Indigenous Theory is a type of course that helps us understand our beginnings as human beings, and also the relationship that Indigenous people have with extensions of human culture that go beyond the Indigenous life and life ways. Many of us have taken that route and or have found ourselves immersed within modernity. But when we begin life, we begin so in the womb with no expectation of modernity, no expectation of the modern world at all. In fact, what we have in the womb is a couple of 100,000 years of programmed development that we inherited from our great ancestors. And so living within the womb in one of the most indigenous environments that we can imagine, and having the teachings, the genetic teachings of how to survive in an indigenous world. That's how we begin life. And it's not until we're born into this world, when we're measured, when our ethnicity is recorded, when the complexion of our skin is noted on a piece of paper, and all of that information that comes about when we enter into the modern world changes us in many ways and sets us on a course into and away into the modern world and away from our indigenous roots. This course helps us understand that. It also helps us understand how indigeneity is still emergent because of our genetic package, still emergent within the modern world. And there are many phenomena that we can look to and try to understand as having basic foundations in our own indigeneity and in the indigeneity of all humans. Not only that, Indigenous theory also looks at the relationship between our culture and the environment or the ecosystems in which we live, and also our basic biology. Putting those three factors together creates innumerable variables that we can begin to measure and look at how those combinations produce the current affairs of today, but also the history of yesterday and the potential for tomorrow. And so that's why I started studying Indigenous theory. For a lot of years I taught Aboriginal studies, which is the academic study of Aboriginal politics, the relationship of Indigenous people with the state, people that exist today, whether they're Haudenosaunee or Anishinaabe, and across the country, the hundreds of different groups of Indigenous people that were here in Canada when colonialism began, what they did before, and how that relationship grew and developed, and what we have today in terms of policy and legislation, and the relationships between people of Indigenous heritage and the modern nation state and its citizens. So I taught about that for about 20 years in development studies, but really about a dozen years or so ago I began to ask the question, A couple of questions, actually. What is indigeneity? And what does it do? So, in a practical sense, what does it do today? How is it manifested? And so those two questions have sent me in a direction of research looking at ethnographies, not just here in Canada, but ethnographies around the world, looking at different cultural academic writing, from Islamic writing to Greek writing to European histories of the early transformation between European indigeneity and the feudal system, and just a whole lot of research also into biology, genetics, uh, uh, social psychology, ethno-histories. All of that stuff adds into our deeper understanding of the place that indigeneity holds in our life, in our world, and also the function that indigeneity still plays in determining who we are, who we've been, and what we will be. So I'm glad you've taken this course. What we're going to do is take a look at the syllabus and see what we can accomplish, because Indigenous theory, I've found, is one of those studies that takes a tremendous amount of patience, and because it's such a wide field. What we can accomplish in 12 sessions, 12 weeks, is only the tip of the iceberg. And selecting the topics and the themes that we're going to cover has been extremely hard in a way, because there's so much to cover. I didn't want it to seem like just loose threads. So I've picked out what can be woven together in a fabric that I think you can take with you, that will stimulate your own questions and your own research, and also lay a foundation of a place to start. So let's take a look at the syllabus. Welcome to my office. Let's take a look at the OnQ site. The best way to get to the course syllabus is through the DES 492 872 Indigenous Theory website on OnQ. So we start off by going up to content, and by the way, I'm on a satellite at the end of the information highway, so this often takes a bit of time. There we go. So here we go. We're right here at the syllabus. The overview contains some information about the course. I think most of you have read much of what it has to say already. Now we'll go to the syllabus. Here we are. The first part of the syllabus is name of the course, my name, and my email and phone number. Now, this is my home phone number. It's not a cell phone. You may call this cell phone, this number, whenever you choose to get some information about the course. If you want to talk over a reading, just anytime you need some information, I'm available pretty well through the day. If you leave a message and your number, I will phone you back. I do not accept calls after 8 o'clock at night. So now here's the administration part. It tells you something about the purpose of the course. So basically, what I'm hoping is that you will develop an idea about Indigenous theory that will inform much of the way that you regard uh, a lot of other things that you learn in global development studies, as well as history, sociology, psychology, biology, and on and on, because indigeneity is our root. It is our roots. So, this is why we study Indigenous theory as a academic exercise. So, one of the things that I'm going to need in terms of administration is a student profile, really to get to know you better. The information on the profile, as it says here, will be kept in complete confidence between myself and you providing the information. Um, the profile will be emailed to me directly, and not be channeled through OnCue. At the end of the course, I'll delete all of the student profiles. Basically, what I want to know is the department that you're studying in, that your major is located in, because there are students outside of Dev Studies in this course, and there is also graduate students in this course. I'd like to know where you live and the time zone that you're going to be working from. Whether you've come to stay in Kingston during online courses or whether you decided to stay home. Personally, I'm glad I'm at home during the COVID-19 crisis. So I need to know your time zone. I would like to know something about your interests. Particularly your academic interests and what you'd like to know, what you'd like to get out of this course, perhaps. I'd like to know what your interests are and what you would like to get out of it. And I'd like you to project a bit about, I guess, what you want out of it in terms of a grade. I will ask you directly, what letter grade do you expect to achieve in this course? I don't want you to be overly optimistic. I want you to be realistic in terms of your time and the amount of effort that you're going to put into this course. This is what you call domestic modes of production. Growing food for yourself on land that you're familiar with, land that you've taken care of. Domestic modes of production. In this course, students are going to produce. I suppose in a way that's a kind of domestic mode of production. But your production is going to contribute to the well-being and the advancement of this course.
This is good, Maggie.
In this course, your assessment will be based on an individual contract negotiated between you, the student, and me, the professor, within the first 3 weeks of the course beginning. Students are expected to make the following course contributions in order to do well in this course. You need to read and follow all of the course material, including the readings, the forums, and all other discussions. You also need to watch the videos as they're presented on a weekly basis. I want you to take part in all the weekly online seminar discussions based on assigned readings. And these will be forums that are posted with particular questions, and you can create your own forums for particular lessons. And they'll be online and they'll be written. I would say that if you wanted to post or attach a video or an audio take on your contribution, that's okay if you can figure out how to do it within the forum program. Now, I want you to contribute to an annotated bibliography. You're expected to read and to research outside of the assigned readings. So when you have an article of interest, I'd like you to contribute it to the annotated bibliography. And there is I'll send out a sample of what a good annotation is. Many of you have already done annotated bibliographies. So it's really a collective annotated bibliography that we all share in and that we can all learn from. I want you to contribute to a glossary of terms. I don't know about you, but I run across words that I don't know what the meaning is, or they're used in a way that what I did understand isn't the same. And so I look that word up and I try to do some background on that word because I think it helps me understand fully what I'm reading. So in order to build a glossary of terms, I want to build this collective glossary of terms for the course. And in that way, we are also helping each other out. By the time reading week comes along, I want you to submit a proposal for your academic production in this course. And that proposal will be an outline with an explanation of the subject that you want to study and some suggestions about the particular thesis that you may use, and you may choose 2 or 3 different types of thesis statements to express where you're going with that particular subject, and then something about what you're going to be writing about and what you expect to prove or find in your academic production for the course. And then finally, at the end of the course, and we'll set the date that is set right at a week after the final course, final class. I want you to submit an academic product, an essay, an article that might be printed in a magazine or a journal. The essay is typical essay form. A film, perhaps a podcast, or a visual art with thesis notes. I don't necessarily need a description of what the visual artistic production means, but I would like thesis notes about the subject and themes that you're working with, and perhaps some citations of material that you've studied in order to come up with your production. So all of this contributes to this, is that in the first 3 weeks of the course, I'm going to contact each and every one of you, and we'll set a date where we can either talk on phone or on Skype or on Zoom, and we're going to talk for about a half an hour or so, and so we'll develop an individual contract between you and I within the first 3 weeks. And grading in this course is really about your contributions to the course. Part of that is about what you achieve, but a lot of it's about your attitude and what you're willing to offer. Often a student may not feel that they have much to offer a course that they didn't know much about, but sparked their interest. But every little bit, every comment, every citation, every argument, criticism that you may, constructive criticism that you may want to offer is worth something. I encourage you to contact me by phone or email at any time during the course to discuss the quality and evaluation of your contributions. The other thing I want you to know is that there is going to be 6 ungraded group Zoom discussions lasting up to 90 minutes, and I will schedule these during the term of the course. While students are encouraged to participate, there is no obligation to do so. These discussions will hopefully stimulate ideas that can be carried over and into weekly online forums. Read this over yourself. I'm not going to read it for you here on the video, but take a good look at it. Standard policy says that we should expect somewhere between 8 and 10 hours a week from every student per course. Every week there's going to be discussion of the readings. So there's about 5 to 6 hours of reading and preparation per week for these discussions. I suggest that you take the time to read and make notes and reread and make notes so that you know the articles well. Because I find that if I read something once, I'm getting to know it. Once I read it a second or third time, I'm getting to understand it and understand it much better. So I don't require it, but I suggest that you read and reread, make notes for the discussions. So, adding to the annotated bibliography, say we read a paper on biology associated with indigeneity, and you say, well, I found some things that I was really interested in, and you do some further research, that's going to add to and you're going to do that research, and then you're going to add the citations to the annotated bibliography. That should take another couple of hours a week and expands your knowledge that you can contribute to the forums. So also added to that time, if you're looking up words, I think that's important. And that may take a little bit more time. The readings will be provided on the OnCue site or links to them. An annotated bibliography of relevant additional material will also be available on the OnCue course site. So what we're going to look at are contributions that other courses before you have put on the annotated bibliography, and that gives you some extra choice and something to take a look at. Important to me is the pedagogy, how this course will be taught. And I'll read this. The pedagogical approach to this course is learning, teaching, leadership. And while my function as an instructor carries with it institutional responsibilities, like grading, I am also a learner. So don't be surprised if I express vociferous expletives when I find something new and very interesting. In fact, my responsibilities as a learner are equal to my responsibilities as a teacher. You can't teach without having learned. And so are yours. You're expected to teach others. As you learn in this course, you will be expected to teach others what you learn. Your research leadership, as is mine, is charting discovery. In charting discovery is also a responsibility equal to learning and teaching. So I expect everybody to explore, to discover, and to extend themselves outward to find information that's relevant to this course. I also expect a collegial attitude rooted in a firm adherence to heterodoxy. Now, that's one of those words that I looked up a long time ago. Heterodoxy means the ability to know and have an opinion, to understand certain things, but not to let that understanding and knowledge exclude the knowledge and understanding of others that may be different. And to respect that difference, because collectively we create a body of knowledge that is greater than the sum of the parts. And that's why we practice heterodoxy. So here's the outline for Indigenous Theory, Fall 220, 2020. Introduction. Now, I'm not going to read through this, but I will let you know that there are certain segments to the course. The first is these two videos that you're going to watch in Lesson 1, as well as a bit of reading that I want you to do. So that's the introduction. Next week, we're going to really begin talking about design and methodologies for Indigenous theory. What does Indigenous mean? What is theory? And so that's going to take about 3 lessons to go through. And then we're going to take a look at the subjects and analysis. We're going to look at some ethnographic material. We're going to look at some historical material. And that will also involve using the methodologies to take apart and analyze what we're studying. So, subjects and analysis. And that will take us up to applications. So about 6 lessons will lead us to applications, and that will leave us with 11 and 12 left to do. And the applications will really focus on how we take what we've learned so far and apply it to modern day analysis and to understand modern situations. And of course, the one we find ourselves in right now is the coronavirus pandemic. But we'll look at much more than that. So, Lesson 12 will be a combination of looking at current applications, but also for you to take a good opportunity to synthesize what you've learned in this course and share it with others. So there'll be some readings, but we'll also be looking at how we can begin to apply Indigenous theory in our current studies, in our future studies, and on and on. So that is basically the syllabus for this course.